if I could welcome all of the rest of the interviewees, the supplier, the mover, the investor, and the enabler to help trade flow. Please, can we just share? Yeah, yeah. No, Lily, can you set where the setup? It doesn't matter. Okay. It's okay.
So fun.
It's okay. So we've all heard individually how each one of you is leveraging technology for your respective fields. But obviously, you all have to work together. And just like you said, Walid, the chemistry is the most important thing as well. The supplier, the mover, the investor, and the enabler all have to work together to help trade flow. Yuri, I want to start with you. How can technology enable this collaboration?
In my view, it's a bit weird.
Sorry, can you just
Sorry.
microphone? Thank you.
Hi. In my view, it might be a bit weird to mention, but I think it's a trust between all those players. So the players in the whole supply chain and the players in the different aspects like investors, suppliers, and the logistic players, and many roles in the whole trading system and supply chain. But the problem is the trust. So can you trust the players, partners? Can you trust the data provided to your partners all throughout the supply chain? Data coming from the upstream, data going down to the downstream. Can you really trust it? So that's, I think, the issue to build a real relationship between those all players.
What about Mr. Santosh? I want to know your opinion about how can technology enable this collaboration? Because each interviewee did mention that collaboration is quite important when it comes to technology and investing and so on and so forth. So how can technology enable it?
Yes. Yes. So I agree with the trust angle, and that's going to be very key in any sort of interaction that we see. From our perspective, from an enablement perspective, I think what we try to focus on has a lot to do with the standardization, right? So the standardization allows for facilitating the interactions across these different borders, which allow for all of these activities to happen, right? So that standardization should be cross-border, and it should be real time, right? So that's something that we essentially focus on, and as if it's real time, then it allows for a lot of synergies. For example, any sort of financing at the point of interaction or the point of sale, that's something that happens with the data, right? So the data and that AI and all of that comes in. The insights are driven from once you have the data, but also to ensure that it's standardized across the board, right? So that's something that we focus on. And we've also seen a lot of penetration of these different systems talking to each other, right? So by the adoption of APIs and all of that, that's become very key, where all of these different systems have a single protocol where they're able to talk to each other. And so that drives a lot of synergies and a lot of benefits. Our focus, again, like I mentioned initially, is to reduce the cost of doing business, right? Essentially, that's what we're focused on, and that's where some of these platforms essentially come about, and a lot of the predictive analytics that come about from the data is something that we focus on as well, right? So whether it's from the inventory and the logistics and the cost of finance as well. So that's some portion where we believe that will drive much more of the collaborative aspect.
Definitely. And Don, I want to know, how can this collaboration also further push the implementation of trade across trade processes?
Yeah, I think, again, it's about standardization. I think you've got to factor in the customs element to this as well, because customs regulations are different in different geographies. That can actually impede trade. It can slow trade. And as we know, from our customer base, it's all about they want their cargo as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. And so you've got all of the elements that we've just spoken about, the trust element, right, which is important, standardization. We need the regulatory control to ensure that is aiding the free flow of cargo as well, because that then opens up, as Walid was saying, to potential investors opening their eyes to the opportunity that's there. Are we there yet? I don't think we are. I think there's still a way to go. I think we do have an opportunity right now with the current geopolitical situation, as Willie alluded to in his session as well. So, yeah, from that perspective, that's what I would say.
What about from an investor's perspective, William? How can this collaboration further push the implementation of trade across trade processes?
I didn't understand the question.
How can this collaboration further push the implementation of trade across trade processes?
Collaboration of
The supplier, the mover, the enabler, and the investor.
I mean, we're human beings. We love stories. So the more incredible and outside stories that come out of entrepreneurs building cool stuff, the more we buy into it. And stories are not just they're a reflection of how industries upgrade. We need the equivalent of the captains of industries of TradeTech to go push their stories out there again. There's so much to be done. The media maybe needs to play a role in that, and then the rest will follow.
And as an investor, I want to know, turning towards the future, what major shifts do you anticipate in your jobs as a result of technology? Because you mentioned AI, you said
So
we're all replaceable.
AI, fundamentally, artificial intelligence are predictive tools. That's what they are. So the incredible power that they give you today is kind of taking prediction into the next level. And an investor job is also a prediction job, because everything we do is based on the premise that an investment we make or a stock we buy is going to appreciate in price, and then we're going to be able to sell it. So we have incredible data tools, incredible technologies that are going to hopefully facilitate that. Now, what these technologies don't do well is our own bias. Mm-hmm. So this is where I think it's going to be interesting to see to what extent we can use AI to really harness or push certain biases we have to go into the blind spots and be able to invest in the next waves that no one will see. I think also what a globalized fintech, more streamlined fintech investment world will allow for things like tokenization, retail investment, participation from investors from all over the world into what we do, really open up also for entrepreneurs the opportunity to go beyond venture capital investing. And that's an incredible opportunity. If I have an idea and I don't need VC, I can get just the crowd to really invest it, not just in the beginning, but across the board. Imagine what this will do. So all of this is, I think, is going to come together, but
definitely
we'll see how that play out.
And I want to go back to Yuri, because you're nodding a lot. I want to know, as the supplier, someone who were the chief sustainability officer of Panasonic Connect, turning towards the future as well, what are, in your opinion, the major shifts that you anticipate in your job as a result of technology?
So I anticipate the future of supply chain would be, as Mr. Dan mentioned in his story, autonomous supply chain, autonomous and sustainable supply chain. That's the North Star we have, and that's why we are investing a lot on the new technologies. So with that realized, my role would be more people-oriented. So still, we need to be grounded on the reality. We cannot live on the virtual space, right? So we need to collaborate with people and partnering with people. So Chief Sustainability Officer in the global trade and supply chain area, it would be a people connector and a liaison officers to have a greater collaboration for bigger achievement.
Definitely. And Mr. Santosh, I want to know, how can we get ahead of these changes that are happening with the implementation of technology almost in every single aspect of our lives to ensure a seamless transition?
So, while I come from or represent the technology side, I would be the first to say that technology is not necessarily the solution to all of these, or what we're trying to face, right? So, the march of technology is what we're seeing, at least from the at least from Q4 of 2023, has been fundamentally so quick that we are essentially reimagining everything that we thought the world was like, and that's just happened in the past 15, 18 months, right? So the things are going to really change, and I don't necessarily feel that we have a complete understanding of where we are. Having said that, I think the larger challenge would be the tech will evolve, but how do we essentially allow for the people to participate in that, and that will be the key, because we have to reinforce the fact that we have to help people not just learn but to unlearn and relearn, right? And that's going to be key. And the more that we allow for that, we will see that more people can continue to participate. Otherwise, this is going to open up a lot of scenarios where we've necessarily not been able to imagine. So the tech, I think, is not the challenge. I think as industry leaders and people from different parts of the segment, how do you essentially allow for everyone to participate in a ever-changing environment? I think that will be key, and I personally don't think that we know yet, because we're still trying to comprehend. But along with that, I think there's also the angle of, I think industry leaders need to be working very closely with the government, because they have a larger role to ensure that the citizenry are up to date, and they have they're building for the regulation, because the regulation typically catches up, right, at the pace that we are operating at. So the partnerships and that regulatory angle is something that I think everyone needs to constantly work towards, because I don't think where we are right now there's a formula that this worked 10 years ago, maybe this might work again. I personally don't think so. So I think it's a wait and watch approach, but I think the fundamentals that I personally just what I mentioned, I think would be the key from my perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for staying and tuning into our conversation. I really appreciate it. And just a round of applause to the supplier, enabler, investor, and mover.
Thank you.